and welcome to Honolulu Cop for You, where we discuss current events and offer opinions that might get you to think a little deeper and perhaps consider a different viewpoint. I'm Gary Diaz, and the moniker Honolulu Cop began in 2002 with the publication of my book, Honolulu Cop: Reflections on a Career with HPD. Today's topic is, why are you speeding? But before we begin, I'd like to thank my good friend, Shireen, who is the person responsible for the equipment used in these broadcasts. The other night I was driving home from the class that I teach at the Hawaii Pacific University classrooms on Hickam Air Force Base. I was on Kalaniane'ole Highway approaching New Valley when I noticed headlights coming up on me really fast. I was the only car on the roadway, and I instantly thought it's a police officer who caught me speeding. So I looked at my speedometer. No, I wasn't speeding. I was doing just under 40 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. I watched the approaching lights as they came up behind me. I was in the far left lane, and the two lanes to my right were open, but still, the vehicle sped up behind me. Now, being a retired police officer, I don't scare easily by people displaying road rage. So instead of speeding up like some people would have done to avoid a rapidly approaching vehicle to their rear, I took my foot off the gas. My car slowed, and the idiot behind me must have realized I wasn't going to cave in to his bullying tactics. He pulled into the lane of my right, accelerated, and sped off. Of course, the only thing left for me to do was to flick the asshole off as he passed. Whether he saw it or not didn't matter. I felt better. That particular jerk, however, was simply a representative of many people who drive in Honolulu, and from my observations, particularly in East Honolulu. I moved to East Honolulu recently from Kailua, which just so happens to be another primary residential neighborhood. And being a retired police officer, I'm acutely aware of how people drive when I'm on the road myself. I see traffic violations that most people would not even think of, and I can reasonably estimate how fast a vehicle is going by looking at my speed in relation to them speeding past me. Let's make one thing very clear. I do not claim to have never exceeded the speed limit myself, but I will affirm that I make a conscious effort to not exceed the speed limit by 5 to 7 miles per hour, especially since I've gotten older. So living in Kailua for more than 20 years, I can state with all honesty that the majority of the drivers I see in Hawaii Kai drive faster on residential roadways than the people do in Kailua. And I've only been in Hawaii Kai for a few months. As with all residential areas, the normal speed limit is 25 miles per hour. This is set by law because people live in those areas, and speeding creates dangers for people who live there, for their children, and for every pedestrian. Let me share something I've recently experienced. I'm traveling on a Hawaii Kai Drive where the posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. The car behind me is blowing her horn because I'm going too slow for her. She swerves out of my lane, speeds past me, and flicks me the finger. I don't know, maybe her house was on fire. Okay, I recognize a problem. I don't own a laser gun. So how do I get a good estimate of the speed these other people are driving? I do it the old-fashioned way, the way I was taught when I was a patrol officer. The way that we got estimates for every speeding citation we issued in the 1970s. You simply keep your distance to the vehicle in front of you almost exactly the same for a period of a few seconds, 30 seconds or so. Then you look at your speedometer, and that gives you the approximate speed that the person in front of you is traveling. It's called clocking. This old-fashioned method passed the test in court, so we know that Hawaii's courts approved of this method. So that's what I did. I got behind speeding vehicles in the 25-mile-per-hour zone on Hawaii Kai Drive, and I clocked them doing 50, 55, and two different vehicles exceeding 60 miles per hour just last week. This begs the question, where the hell are all the police traffic enforcement officers? Where are the cops with the laser guns? Where are the solo motorcycle officers who specialize in stopping speeders? Or is speeding no longer a problem? But we know it is. Remember the 17-year-old killed on Honolulu Home Road in August of 2018? He was speeding to try and catch his friends who were driving in another vehicle. You can drive through Hawaii Kai at nearly any time of the day or night and see somebody jogging. Don't these joggers have the right to be safe while they exercise? To be safe from speeding vehicles? Why do so many people speed? That's one question that's going to beget two other questions. Are they late for something? Or have their driving habits diminished so much that they don't give a second thought to the danger they are creating? There's a part of my brain that believes people didn't pay attention in their physics class because they seem to have no clue as to the outcome when a 2-ton object traveling at 60 miles per hour collides with another object. Remember the recent idiot who crossed 3 lanes of traffic, climbed over a pedestrian island, struck 8 people waiting to cross the street, then crashed into another vehicle? That idiot was traveling at 60 miles per hour when he did that. He killed 3 people and injured everyone else. We can only hope that he's put into a prison cell for a very long time. But I'll wager he had no clue himself as to the outcome when his 2-ton vehicle traveling at 60 miles per hour struck 8 people. And I'll further wager that the average citizen driving their vehicle 20 miles per hour over the speed limit have no clue as to the damage their own vehicle is capable of inflicting. It's something that people simply don't think about when they speed. And this is not limited to young, reckless young men and women. I've seen on many occasions young mothers driving big, heavy SUVs with a child strapped into a child's seat, traveling over 60 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. What are you thinking about, lady? Better still, what are you not thinking about? Before I retired from the Honolulu Police Department, I was the major in charge of the traffic division, which investigated traffic fatalities. I can tell you that the human body is very fragile. And you don't have to take it from me. Go ask any pathologist who does autopsies on dead people. It doesn't take much to kill a human body. And when your body is dead, you're not waking up. So why can't people think of how bad it would be to kill another human being because of their recklessness in a vehicle? There's something else that people don't think about. They don't think about the devastation they caused to the victim's family. Yes, the victim died. But did he leave a wife? Did he leave children? Did he have parents and siblings? Did he have friends? And has that person who killed another in a traffic collision really thought about the devastation that they would cause before they actually killed the victim? I don't think so. Neither do they think about the devastation they will cause their own family. They don't think about the shame and the grief their own family will feel. They don't think about what their neighbors will think of them. They don't think about losing their house and their dreams because of a civil suit against them. No, I'm willing to bet that not one person responsible for the death of another in a traffic collision gave a single thought to the devastation they would cause to the victims' families and to their family as a result of their recklessness. Speed kills. So does DUI, driving under the influence. But guess what? We have all heard a drunk person say the following words: "Nah, I'm not drunk. I can drive." A person who is drunk doesn't have the capability to realize that he's too drunk to drive. Why? Because he's drunk. It's a vicious cycle. We live in a society where people don't object to other people drinking and then driving. And when the person who's been drinking drives off from a party, say, those who are standing at the curb waving goodbye tell them, "Drive safe." A drunk shouldn't be allowed to even walk on the sidewalk, much less drive home. And people don't realize that when you drink 3 beers, you are impaired. And there's a whole bunch of people who are going to argue with me and tell me I'm wrong. I'm not drunk after 3 beers. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the content of alcohol in your blood after you've drunk 3 beers. You don't feel drunk, but you are impaired. There's an old saying, "Drunk no count." It simply means that whatever I did doesn't count because I was drunk. Sorry, Junior boy. Hawaii law states that you are responsible for your actions, whether you are drunk or high on some drug. I'm preaching to the choir here. I know that all of you listening know that speed kills and drunk driving kills. And you also know that everyone that you know understands that speed kills and drunk driving kills. And since I'm a betting man, I'll bet you that you know someone who speeds regularly and who drinks after they have 3 beers and then drives. You and I know better. Do everyone in Hawaii a favor. Think before you speed recklessly. Think before you drive after drinking. We've reached the end of today's podcast, so thank you for listening. And it's time for the quotes of the day. Never drive faster than your guardian angel can fly. Mother Teresa. Education is important. And almost everyone knows that they shouldn't drink and drive. The people who are still doing it are choosing to do it. And the most effective way to deal with them is to arrest them. David Kelly, television producer. Thank you again. Have a great day.